So you just got done watching the fights. The kids are asleep. The wife's in the other room doing, well, what wives do.
Am I the only one that does a goddamn thing around here? How hard is it to pick up after a
So decision time. You could either go in the other room and deal with...
After all I've done today, you expect me to wanna...
Or keep it locked right here. Because it's time for the Billy C post-fight wrap-up on the BillyCBoxing.com network. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Billy C.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Billy C's Saul Canelo Alvarez, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. post-fight show, if you call it that. What a disheartening. I tell you, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. may have come in fantastic shape, and he certainly looked it. And he may have had a great training camp and all those things. But he certainly didn't come with the right game plan. You know, I picked Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in this fight as an underdog, but I thought that he would do what he can do best and what he only does, and that's work the body and fight an inside fight. That was his only chance to win, and instead he fights in the middle of the ring. He tries to outbox Saul Canelo Alvarez, and all I'm going to say is Canelo Alvarez looked great. There's nothing I can say negative about him. In case you missed the fight, it was a unanimous decision. 12 rounds of the same over and over and over. Saul Canelo Alvarez dominating. I scored it the same as all three judges, 120 to 108. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island. He's with me every day. And if you're just tuning in for the post-fight show, don't forget to watch our daily show. But Sal, Rocky, Cenicola, what's your thoughts?
Billy, very, very disappointed in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Canelo fought a good fight. He looked good. He's fundamentally sound. He could do any. Well, it's almost looked like a glorified sparring session for him.
Oh, it clearly was.
That's all it was.
I mean, he it was pathetic. Listen, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. As far as I'm concerned, there's no fights for him. No. Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he looked great. He looked great. He was putting the punches together. He was setting it up with jabs. He fought off the ropes. He looked like he had decent movement. He controlled the ring. I mean, what can you say?
You can't make excuses for Chavez. I mean, Chavez had his moments. I mean, he had Canelo with his back to the ropes, Canelo's back. And, I mean, I think it was more by Canelo's choice, to tell you the truth. And he was trying to tee off on him or get some punches through Canelo's defense, and he did get a few. But every time he landed 1, 2, 3 punches, which that was all the combination that he threw were. They were 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches. There was no 4, 5, 6. And every time he landed a 1, 2, 3, he backed off and said, okay, let me re-engage and think about this. No, you know what? I'm very disappointed in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And one thing I learned the night you and I watched Mayweather beat up Pacquiao, and it was so evident tonight because I had money on Chavez Jr., is, Billy, you cannot want a fighter to win a fight more than the fighter wants to fight, wants to win. And I didn't see any burning desire in his heart or his passion to win. And I'm sorry for me to say that, but I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see much of it either. I mean, it was depressing because we're coming off the heels of a great fight in a heavyweight division last week that had major implications for the division. The fight lived up to the hype. I thought this fight was going to be very good. I thought first of all, that Kenny Bayless referee I mean, with all the faces he makes and stuff like that, and he's in the camera shot, and no excuses. But every time Chavez did work the body, he was right there. But he's terrible. He's a terrible referee. But nonetheless, Canelo improves to 49 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. 34 of his wins coming by knockout. Junior, he drops to 50 wins, 3 losses and a draw. 32 coming by knockout. Now, also on this pay-per-view that I myself said was a great card on our Friday show, Sal.
Yes, you did.
Turned out to be a snooze fest, really. The JoJo Diaz fight that opened up against Manuel Avila, I liked that fight. In case you missed it, JoJo Diaz won a unanimous decision. 2 of the judges had it 99-91. One had it 100-90. I thought it was an entertaining one-sided fight. JoJo Diaz clearly the better fighter, but Manuel Avila had some heart, and he went the distance. And I thought it was entertaining. Lucas Matisse against Emmanuel Taylor. Well, that fight ended the way I thought it would. Matisse knocked him out at 2 minutes and 21 seconds of the 5th round. Matisse, 34 years old, he was out of the ring for 18 months, yet some sanctioning bodies sanctioned this for a title fight. I don't get it, but nonetheless, he's 38 wins, 4 losses with 35 coming by knockout. And your boy, Sal, boy, David Lemieux.
Lemieux.
He won a fight, and he beat Marco Reyes. It wasn't a close fight, but the truth of the matter is he didn't look all that good. And I'll tell you something right now, Sal. What I think is that Lemieux, he needs to learn how to move his head. He needs to work on his defense because he has none, and he doesn't work the body enough. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts, I'll tell you, though you never ask, and I'm telling you. Billy, what I thought I saw in David Lemieux since his defeat against Triple G was a slow progress of a little bit of defense here, a little bit more of his punching power becoming more evident against these opponents, and maybe his boxing skills improve slightly over each fight. What I saw tonight was a total backwards turn. I think because he had some early success, landing some big haymakers, which I was excited to see. I think he thought he was going to end the fight early on with one punch, and he didn't. And he threw his boxing skills out the window. He went just on his instincts and threw the punches where he thought they'd land. He won a fight. A win's a win, but boxing's a tough game, and unfortunately, you're only going to be judged on as a fighter of how you did your last fight and what you look like your last fight. And I'll tell you what, he looked better in his prior fights, especially the one against Curtis Stevens, than he did in this fight. This fight, he got caught with shots he shouldn't have gotten hit with. He was open. He didn't look like he really followed up with any real successful game plan, and he was just looking to land the big blows to get his opponent out, which didn't happen. But he did win a decision, unanimous decision.
Yeah, but you know what? In a fight like that where you're fighting, I mean, he clearly was the smaller guy, and he hit him with everything he had. He busted him up. The guy was bleeding. I thought they were going to call a MASH unit in. He was bleeding so much.
I thought he had more blood on Dave Lemieux.
But the truth of the matter is whether his corner was telling him to or not, I mean, that's when you say, okay, listen, stop headhunting him. Go to the body. Yeah. You were talking about this on Friday's show. The bottom line is the guy's, he's a compact fighter. He's usually giving up height. He's usually giving up arm reach. What does he do best? He fights power. He doesn't have great defense. He's got to smother his opponent. He's got to be in there working the body, busting him up like that, then go to the head. He didn't go to the body enough. I think he ruined his opportunity to make a statement, and the end result of his lack of knowledge was a mediocre performance in a fight that was supposed to be a showcase fight. What do you think?
I couldn't have said any better. You said it right there. Where this fight was a showcase fight, He could have looked more dominant. He could have had a little bit more uh, combinations to the body. He should have been delivering. He should have had some strategy. But like I said, he would just look like he reverted back. He became a headhunter. He wanted to land that one big shot. In the meantime, he was leaving himself open, and he caught some punches tonight. And he made a fight which I thought wasn't going to go to the fifth round. A harder work for him to come up a winner. He did win. That was fine, and that's a win's a win. But he could have done so a little more dominantly and a little bit more with a little more boxing skills and going to the body and hurting him early.
You know what? Let's take a short little break here and get Dax on the phone, Sal.
Yeah.
And we'll get his thoughts. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back. I'd say in about 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's home for the barbecue rub and seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
And we're back. You're listening to Billy C's Saul Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. post-fight show. If you want to call it a fight, it was a one-sided beatdown. Saul Canelo Alvarez had his way with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Despite my my bold prediction of the upset, didn't work out too well. But joining me right now and joining Sal, Rocky, Cenicola is my man Dax Khan. Dax, what was your thoughts on the fight, my man?
What can you say?
I don't know. I was looking for you to say something.
No, I mean, seriously, what can you say? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. didn't come to fight. You know, that's what more is there? He didn't come to fight. Everybody was fooled by the fact he came in on weight. They were fooled by the reports from camps. And in camps, I do believe that he was working hard, but when it came inside the ring, he just didn't want to deliver. I'm sorry. And there's a lot of people out there who are going to be angry at me, but Canelo, did he look great? Absolutely, he looked great. But you know something? I know a lot of guys that look great on a heavy bag. And that's not to say that Canelo is one of those guys where he's not an elite fighter. But when Chavez Jr. did go against the ropes and he was letting his hands go, it was starting to get exciting. But then, as soon as Canelo let his hands go, Chavez Jr. backed off. What really bothered me is the announce team. And of course, as usual, they really know how to ruin an already horrible moment by going overboard with a lot of their comments. And when you have to sit there and make comments such as Gennady Golovkin and Abel Sanchez are sitting ringside with a poker face, from Max Kellerman, or Roy Jones Jr. continuously having to mention himself as the third person, worse than an Andre Ward, it really was just a bad event. Forget about the fight; it was just a bad event overall, altogether. I don't know what else to say. It was just, it was horrible. My next step, what I really want to see is I don't want to hear any more excuses about the Triple G fight. Should it not happen in September? Even if it doesn't happen, I'd be more than happy to see him against Hassan Endam. I'd be happy to see him against a Daniel Jacobs. I'd be happy to see him against a Jarrett Hurd, a Demetrius Andrade, and Erickson Lubin. I'd be happy to see him against anybody who's throwing their hands back.
Some of it, I mean, Sal and I feel the same way, but some of it has to be blamed on the game plan. I mean, trying to have a game plan where a guy like Chavez, who clearly, doesn't have the skill set to stand in the center of the ring and box, especially a guy who's been working on his finesse and sweet science in Saul Canelo Alvarez. I think that was a huge mistake. Plus, the size difference, the body work that Chavez does do well. That was the whole reason why I thought that he could break down Canelo, but he didn't do it. It was a stupid game plan. How much blame do we put on nacho chips?
You can't. How do you blame Nacho? I mean, he was giving him the right advice even when that wasn't working out. He was telling him, listen, throw punches, Julio. And Chavez Jr. wasn't throwing punches. At least let your hands go. How hard is that? Just let your hands go. Even if you want to stand there and wave like a moron, let your hands go, kid. Do something. But he did nothing. And now you have to blame 100% on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. On the other hand, you have to blame, well, we can't blame, but on the other hand, now we have to put expectations more on the promoters maybe than even the fighters. They have to make this up to the public somehow.
Hey, Sal, what do you think Papa Chavez, how rough of a night is he going to have? He looked like he wanted to throw up in there.
Oh, man. He got in the ring, and I saw Julio Jr. Whisper over to him. I said, I wonder if he's going to say, hey, don't worry about it, Pop. I'll get him next time. And Pop said, there is no next time. It's there is no tomorrow.
Papa Chavez whispered in his ear, hey, Junior, you're dead to me, all right? You're friggin' dead to me. Now get out of here, But anyway, hey, Dax, do you think that the Triple G fight will happen in September, or do you think that they're going to try to milk it a little more? Because certainly the version, I mean, I agree with what you said in terms of Chavez not offering anything back. And of course, Saul Canelo Alvarez looked good. But based on his performance and assuming that it wasn't as easy as it looked, and keeping in consideration that Triple G hasn't looked all that great in his last two fights, would you give an edge to Canelo right now?
I wouldn't, actually. Triple G, I think it's a very close fight. Canelo has definitely improved his overall skill set, especially with the way he throws his combinations. But there are still a lot of things in there where somebody like Triple G would capitalize on. Again, when you're getting hit back, it's a whole different story. Even Liam Beefy Smith, who's about 4, 5, 6 levels below Triple G, managed to give Canelo some problems early on. What really bothered me were some comments by the HBO team. I think it was Max Kellerman or even Jim Lampley, who stressed on that point, as you said, about Triple G looking bad in his last fight. Understand something. Other than Floyd Mayweather, who has Canelo fought the quality, the toughness, with the power and the size of a Daniel Jacobs? I mean, that right there, again, what I keep saying since we started the show, is the selling point. They're already trying to sell something, and they're trying to make an excuse. Canelo's ego and his attitude has gotten so big. We're going to see him in 6, 7, 8 weeks. His neck is going to be a spring, and he's going to be like one of those bobbleheads. He's going to be falling around every place that he goes to because his ego is so huge. He really does. He knows he's the A side, and that's true. And I'll be honest, and I sent this tweet out on our social media feed. I'd bet my house, anybody listening to this show, I'll tell you what, I have a PayPal account, and if it ever did happen, you get yourself a PayPal account. We'll put up $1,000. Anthony Joshua and Canelo, if they had a pay-per-view on the same night, I bet you Anthony Joshua triples the sales of Canelo. I don't care if he even fights Triple G. And that's because, something, Canelo is not the superstar they keep trying to shove down our throat. This fight right here was just, people are just aggravated with the 69.95 price tag. It's all very frustrating. Canelo did a great job, but something, if he doesn't fight Triple G next, as far as I'm concerned, I already don't want to see Chavez Jr. in the ring again. I can care less if I see Canelo in the ring again, unless he fought any of the names that I mentioned, or at minimum, unless he fought Demetrius Andrade, unless he fought Daniel Jacobs, and unless he fought, let's say, even a Charlo brother, one of the two Charlo brothers, with the size and the way they've been knocking guys out. I don't think Canelo, would have an easy time with them. Somebody, no more of the punching bags. That's it. It's done. It's over. You're not getting no more of my money. Not getting no more of my views. I'm telling you the truth, and I'm always going to tell the truth exactly how it is.
Well, I think it's hard to be that critical of Canelo. I think the criticism actually has to lie on Chavez today, but we are going to try to open up. We get some people trying to call in. I am going to open up the phone lines, but unfortunately for you two guys, we're going to have to kick you to the curb for a few minutes. So let's do that. We're going to open up the phone lines, and we'll go from there. So if you have any thoughts on the fight, give us a call right now, 845-228-8710, 845-228-8710. The phone line is open right now. And in case you're just tuning in, and you didn't see the fight, you probably saved yourself some aggravation. 12-round fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was uneventful, and I'm being kind with that description. 12 rounds of the same round, and that is Canelo Alvarez just dominating Julio Cesar Chavez en route to a unanimous decision. Everyone, including myself, all three official judges, and myself, all gave every single round to Saul Canelo Alvarez. But joining us right now is a guy that is on our show every Wednesday. And normally you get to see him, but today he's incognito. Alex Pierpaoli joins us. What's up, brother?
That's right. That's right. He had a few margaritas.
Yeah, he's only got one eye open, But I know that. I'll tell you what, that fight had a tendency to drive everyone to drink. I already was hitting my scotch bottle too. But what was your thoughts on the fight?
Well, I thought it was somewhat predictable in the sense that I thought it was going to be a case where Canelo really dominated. But I did think that just pride alone would get Chavez to make more of a fight. I kind of blame him for it not ever really becoming a real brawl, but Canelo didn't want to brawl on the inside, and Chavez never forced him to. So, we were kind of stuck with what we got. But Canelo looked good. I mean, in that sense, I think what Coach is saying about how it really is like a WWE type thing, it really did seem like that when they literally brought Canelo to the ring. They played music and brought him to the ring. I mean, not Canelo,
Triple
G at the end just to announce the fight. It was almost like the whole thing had been a long, commercial for the September 16th bout that now supposedly is made.
September 16th, it's official. Is that what you're giving us the announcement? It's official, Triple G against Canelo.
They brought him into the ring after the interviews. Yeah, and they did a little interview right there in the ring, and
And I was busy getting ready for this show. Did Canelo say, "I'll fight you, us Mexicans, we don't F around"? Yeah, okay.
He did have a little wise-ass remark, because Golovkin said to him, Max said, "Is there anything you want to say to him before September?" And he said, I just want to wish him good luck. And Canelo said in Spanish, the translation was, good luck is for simple people.
He's the guy that you're beginning to, I thought I really disliked Floyd, but I'm starting to dislike Canelo too a little bit. But what'd you think of the rest of the card?
I thought Matisse looked good, but there was all kind of one-sided bouts.
I know, but they were camouflaged. They really had you thinking that they were going to be competitive. The JoJo Diaz fight, like I was saying the other day, was a competitive fight. It was a competitive fight, but you knew who was going to win.
Right. Yeah. It was. I think it's nice to see that Matisse. I enjoy him. I think he did look pretty good. He looked sharp. So it'd be nice to see him in something, down the road. But and Lemieux looked really good. I mean that fight should have been stopped. That was just hellacious. It was just sort of sad that everybody sort of agreed this should be stopped, but there was nothing anyone could do about it. That was sort of a sad predicament of, I think, the position where a lot of us are in this sport a lot of times. But it was compelling for like the first 6-7 rounds, but then it just got ridiculous.
Well, the argument there is the only people that really going to stop it, aside from a doctor, which I didn't really see anybody even look at that cut. I was gagging when they had the close-up on it, But, the only people that really could have stopped it was the corner because the kid was fighting back. From a referee perspective, if he's not fighting back and it's a one-sided beatdown, yeah, you stop it. But every time you could have made an argument to stop it, the kid fights back. And it wasn't like he was just going through the motions. He was landing some significant punches. Not that it was making a difference. I looked at it a little more negative on David Lemieux because I'm saying to myself, he's not making the right adjustments. His corner's not making the right adjustments. Obviously they weren't hurting him to the head. They were making him look like chop meat in there, bleeding chop meat. And why didn't they go to the body? Why didn't he fight to, what his strengths are? He's shorter. He needs to fight inside, and he didn't. We saw a lot of poor corner work tonight, I think, Alex. What do you think?
Well, I think that is a good point. I think that because it did start to get to the point of, like, why couldn't Lemieux get him out of there? And you're right. He is a good body puncher. You'd think breaking his body down could have been.
Well, some guys you just can't knock out. Some guys you just can't knock out to the chin.
Right.
You know what I mean? So why not work the body?
And I think that's where I think our referees have to be more. You're right. Because the corner, you think, why doesn't the corner stop this fight? But they kept seeing, like you said, the guy coming on. They didn't want to rob him of an opportunity. But I think what we know of just head, brain damage is that we could get to a point where this guy's just taking, the referees have to say, look, he's just taking too many clean, hard shots, that it's enough. But you're right. Who makes that decision? Because some nights a guy could take punishment all night, and then in the 11th round he scores the knockout.
Well, if he scored a knockout in the 11th round, that would have been great. If Chavez scored it, that would have been great. If But that's
what I mean, that he could be taking a beating all night and then in the 11th round come back and score a knockout.
Yeah, but Marco Reyes in the Lemieux fight didn't seem to be really hurting Lemieux that much. Lemieux was taking some shots, but listen, David Lemieux is a good fighter. He's probably in the top 3 middleweights in the world today, I would think. Top 3, 4 at the most. But in order to compete with the guys in front of him, the only couple of guys in front of him, he needs to be a little more defensive oriented. He needs to block some of those punches. He takes way too many shots. And so maybe be a little, put his hands up a little bit or something, move his head a little, make it a little harder for them to hit him, And the other thing is he's got to know when to not be a headhunter. And I think we saw tonight that he was going for the knockout, and he feels that the only way he can knock somebody out is taking the head off. And hopefully he learned from that tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think in a way it's kind of unfortunate that At one point along the way, Max or Jim, one of them said that Lemieux might not only fight the winner of Chavez versus Canelo, but he might fight the loser. So now he's stuck with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. trying to rehabilitate his image against David Lemieux because it's very clear Canelo has a dance partner.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to see Chavez fight again. I really.
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, his father probably won't let him fight either because it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment,
Yeah.
But anyway, before we let you go, we got some other callers calling in. Before we let you go, early prediction based on the performance you saw tonight from Canelo Alvarez. Does he beat Triple G based on his last two not so great performances?
I don't think he beats him, but I think he does a lot better than I used to think it would be. I think Danny Jacobs showed me that Golovkin is a lot more beatable than I thought he was, but I don't know if Canelo has enough to beat him. I'll have to think about it. But, it's not a blowout. Canelo, Golovkin, that's a good fight in September.
And I'll tell you another thing. Triple G, everybody, that whole time when we were daring to suggest that Floyd Mayweather do something great and fight Triple G, and everyone's like, oh, my God, no, Triple G's so big. Well, now we realize that Triple G's not big. Canelo's going to be bigger than him when they fight, and Jacobs was way bigger than him when they fought. So, I think that the Triple G Canelo fight, Canelo is going to be the bigger fighter in that fight. You watch. Nobody's going to be throwing anybody around. I guarantee you that.
Golovkin looks a little taller than when they stood at the end of the ring, but it was kind of at the end of the fight. But it was kind of tough to tell because he definitely looks taller, but it was hard to tell who's bigger because Canelo was shirtless in his trunks and Golovkin was in a suit. So you can't really gauge their size.
Well, I don't think size is a problem for Canelo. He demonstrated that tonight, so.
True.
But anyway, Alex, we'll look forward to you on Wednesday, my man.
All right, Billy C, take care.
That's Alex Pierpaoli. You can check him out on our show every Wednesday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you just stumbled across the show, we do a daily show. We're on both television, radio, and here on YouTube, podcast, everything. Check out the website, www.billycboxing.com for all the information. We air live on YouTube as well as our TV networks Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So check out the show. Phone line is open, 845-228-8710. We'll take another caller or two. And then Sal is going to join us again. Unfortunately, I can't take a caller and have my man on. So if you don't call right now, I'm going to get Sal back on and maybe call it a night because there's not really much to talk about, to be honest with you. I mean, the only thing that we can really look at this point, I think, is the fact that, Canelo Alvarez, I mean, he looked good, but against a guy that wasn't really willing to do much. But anyway, we got someone on the line right now. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Billy, this is David. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. How are you?
Hey, David. How you doing, man? What'd you think of the fight?
Good. Well, I think it played out as expected. I did agree with, I've been watching you and your predictions this whole week, and I did kind of lean towards what you were saying. Chavez might pull up the upset, but after seeing the first few rounds, I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, after the first three rounds, when I realized it wasn't going to happen, I reached for my scotch because I was very disappointed, to be honest with you. I thought that he fought the wrong fight. I mean, how do you come on and inflict your size advantage on a guy when you're trying to fight him outside? I mean, how much blame do you put on his team, or do you think it was all him?
No, I think at the end of the fight, it was ultimately up to him to make the adjustment. I think he is a professional. He is, he's experienced. I think he does have enough experience to, make those adjustments. And I thought with Nacho Berenstein in his corner, he would have had a better chance to kind of, give him another view of the fight from the outside. I did think he did throw Berenstein under the bus at the end of the fight, saying that, he gave him the wrong game plan. I thought it was him. He was supposed to make the fight happen, and if plan A didn't work, then plan B should have kicked in, like he said in all the interviews before. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you. I mean, the truth of the matter is you go into a fight, you got to have your main game plan and then variations of it. I say all the time that the difference between a good corner and a bad corner is one that can make the right adjustments during the heat of battle, and that's something clearly that Team Chavez did not do. And if Chavez is so willing to throw Nacho under the bus, he could have taken matters into his own hands and started doing what he does on his own. Usually when a fighter gets rocked or things start going bad, they go back to what comes naturally, and what comes naturally to him is an inside fight game. He didn't go to it once. It seemed like he didn't want to get inside. It really, because I think Canelo was countering him well.
Yeah, he was just getting countered left and right, and at one point I felt like Chavez just felt like he couldn't open up. He was just scared to get countered, and it's as simple as that. We saw a weight-trained Chavez who pretty much was a shell of himself. He didn't have anything coming in. He didn't come. I'm pretty sure he came in to win, but it just didn't work out for him, obviously, as we saw in the fight. What else can I say? He probably needs to hang him up after this fight. Who knows? But it wasn't the fight that I expected, and I'm surprised Canelo wasn't able to drop him at least or to do anything significant. He won a 12-round decision against a prepared Chavez, and that's it's as simple as that. I think.
What?
I don't know what do you think about that?
Well, I think Canelo gets credit because number one, he fought a bigger guy and won. He stayed to his game plan. He kept his cool, and he acted like a professional in there, And my question now to you before I let you go is early prediction. They made the fight, supposedly making the fight between Canelo and Triple G, and based on Canelo's performance tonight and the last two Triple G performances, who do you like in that one?
What do I think now? I think it'll be a competitive fight. I do still have Golovkin winning that fight. I don't think Golovkin gets enough credit for beating Jacobs, who easily came in as a cruiserweight in that fight. I still think Golovkin wins. Canelo has improved his last few fights. He has improved, so I'll give him credit for that. But I still think Golovkin wins. I still think he beats him. Yeah.
Yeah, it ought to be a good fight, but I think Canelo's going to be bigger. And, Triple G, Daniel Jacobs showed us a lot against Triple G. And then you start to think to yourself, if Daniel Jacobs and Canelo fought, that'd be a good fight, too. Who do you think would win that one?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Billy? I couldn't hear you.
I said, considering what Daniel Jacobs did with Triple G, he showed that Triple G has some trouble with a guy with a game plan that's aggressive, etc. Then I said, what do you think about if Canelo fought Daniel Jacobs? How do you think that fight would go?
If Canelo fought Daniel Jacobs, I think Daniel Jacobs would give him all that he can handle, given the reach advantage, and he'll probably come up as heavy, or if not heavier than Canelo. I believe he'll be the bigger fighter. It's not like another Chavez Jr. in there. He's a taller guy. He has longer reach, and he's a better boxer. Technically, he's a better boxer. So I think he'll give Canelo all he can handle if they ever fought. So I have him slightly winning, maybe a 12-round decision, but I think Jacobs, if he ever went up against Canelo, he'll give him all that he can handle.
So now we'll all be looking forward to Triple G Canelo in September. Nothing like getting us all jacked up for the rest of the summer, right?
Definitely. I'm already planning my trip wherever it's going to be. All I know it's going to be in September, but definitely count me in for that one.
All right, my man. Well, listen, I appreciate the call. Keep listening to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Billy. I appreciate it. I'll keep tuning in.
All right,
Thanks a
brother.
lot.
Take care. That's my man David giving us a call. I think he's from California. So anyway, fight over, and did not live up to the expectations of any of us. So it's kind of disheartening when you consider all of the hype that we had, and especially me. I'm feeling a little sorry for myself, and I'll tell you why. Because the bottom line is I started really believing that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. would make it a fight. I thought that Jr. would do what he does best, and that is work the body and make it a in close, uptight, in your face kind of a fight. And he didn't do it. And personally, I look like a fool. But hey, speaking of fools, another guy that agreed with me. Hey, Saul is back.
You sold me. Sold me.
I know. I saw David too, who just called.
I lost money tonight.
Yeah, David just called from California. He said the same thing. I was starting to believe you. Yeah, I know. Next time, I don't know what went through my head why I was doing it, but I had a funny feeling, you know.
I had a
but
funny feeling too.
I tell you, but the truth of the matter is didn't work out, man.
Like I said earlier, Bill, we can't want a fighter to win more than he wants to fight, and more than he wants to win. And, I'm not saying he didn't want to win, but he didn't fight with his heart like he wanted to win at all costs. I mean, that's what you got to do. I thought maybe he had some strategy. I thought maybe he was going to give the early rounds away. Then I thought he was going to give the middle rounds away. Then I thought he was going to give the later rounds away.
I don't know, man, but we got Daxx back on the line, calling us in, and we don't see you yet, Daxx, but any other?
Sorry about that.
Any other? So where are we at? What were you saying? I'm sorry.
You got me now?
Yeah, I got you.
I got you.
Okay, yeah, that was my fault. Technical glitch here. It's getting late, so me and Sal were talking about something else that we'll talk about on Monday that you'll find pretty exciting.
Well, right now, as there's not much to really break down anymore on this fight. I mean, we're all a little disappointed, but let's talk a little real quick about the potential fight or the fight that's been announced now, Triple G against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we got a long way to go. A lot of fights in between, especially Andre Ward and Kovalev coming up. But early predictions, what do you think, Dax? Do you think Triple G or Canelo?
Let's see it happen first.
Well, it's supposed to be happening September 17th.
Yeah,
or
and
16th.
that was supposed to happen not too long ago either. But anyway, hypothetically, if it does happen, I still go with Triple G. As Sal and I were talking a few minutes ago, and I've noticed in the past, going back years, even though Canelo's gotten a lot better, even when you look tonight, when somebody lets their hands go on Canelo, he has a tendency to freeze up. He's gotten very adept at fighting off the ropes, but, he looks for that perfect counterpunch. Triple G has a better chin than James Kirkland, who Canelo probably did his best performance when it came to a counterpunch. When Chavez Jr. let go 2 or 3, 4 punches tonight, the very few times he did, Canelo froze up on there. Triple G's a guy, you know what? You only got to land one. And, that's enough to put you out for the rest of the night, maybe some of the next day, who knows. But also, you got to forget Triple G is adept at fighting in the middle of the ring, unlike Chavez Jr. And Canelo, despite the weight today and despite fighting a Liam Beefy Smith, Canelo has really spent his whole career fighting guys, as I said Friday, around averaging about 5'8", 5'8.5". So Triple G would be a whole different story as far as him slipping. HBO, they kind of over exaggerated it against Daniel Jacobs, who was definitely 2, 3, and 4 levels above Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And as far as the Kell Brook fight, Canelo is definitely not as fast as Kell Brook. So Gennady Golovkin didn't look as bad as you think.
Well, something, first of all, you can't. Canelo's going to be bigger than Triple G. And I don't think Canelo was freezing up. I think Canelo was trying to get Chavez baiting him in so he would let his hands go more and try to counterpunch. Listen, Canelo, we got to give him some credit because I think he definitely improved. He still does what I've said he does wrong, and he did it to Chavez, but Chavez just Chavez was right in front of him in the middle of the ring. I thought he was going to be in front of him, but at least try and work him to the corners and the ropes and do what, get him in a situation that would benefit Chavez. So Chavez basically just showed us what Canelo does and what he has been doing. But I think he's improved on his delivery of punches. I think he's improved on his conditioning. He proved to that. He proved that tonight. So I don't know. I think he's going to give Triple G a hard time. I think it's going to be a memorable fight.
I didn't say that it wasn't going to be a competitive fight and a good fight. All I said was that he's not going to be able to do with Triple G what he did with Chavez Jr. tonight.
No. Chavez Jr. didn't fight, right, Sal?
No, he didn't fight. He certainly didn't look like he came to fight. There were moments I was talking to Dax. We had a good conversation about a couple of scenarios, a couple of things, and you know what? He had his opportunities. He had a few spots. He had a few moments, and he threw the 1, 2, 3, but there was no 4, 5, 6. And he throw 1, 2, 3. He'd step back, and it was again.
Well, Kenny Bayless was right in the middle of it. Every time they were exchanging punches, when they were in close, all of a sudden you saw him in the camera shot. I mean, I never saw a guy try to get in the camera shot so much, making those stupid face. It was almost like he was like making silly faces and the thing. I can't take Kenny Bayless. And he said, just remember, what I say, you must obey. You know what I mean? Give me a break, man.
I know.
That was something else that Sal and I spoke about. I was saying, Kenny Bayless, whenever they were in close, Kenny's going, "Oh, watch your head, don't get in there close." And Sal said maybe he's worried about cuts.
Well, every time he said it, if you go back and watch it, I guarantee you, every time he went in there, they both stopped punching and looked at him because he was giving instruction. They tell him, hey, before the fight, hey, when I say something, you got to obey. What I say, you must obey. So when he starts talking, they stop and look at him. And he always had to go in and start talking to them right in the heat of battle. It happened at least a half a dozen times throughout that fight, fellas.
Did you hear anything? Because yesterday I had reports, and when I spoke to you, that Tony Weeks was supposed to be the ref for this fight. Did you hear any reason why that changed?
No, I didn't hear any reasons why. All I know is I don't know how they can give Kenny Bayless any of these big fights. He's bad. I think he's bad. I think he's terrible. And to tell you the truth, Weeks was good, and Bird is okay at times, but these referees are a whole nother ball game. At least all the judges were accurate today, I thought, when they went to the cards. I'll give them that much. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
Except for one fight. The JoJo Diaz and the Avila fight. I believe that Diaz won the fight, but I really think they were very unfair to Avila. I'm sorry. Was it two judges had 100 to 90 and one judge had it 99 to 91?
No, two judges had it 99-91. One had it 100 to 90.
All right, I had it the opposite way around, but either way, I'm sorry, Avila won more than just one round. Matter of fact, there were times where he was actually outboxing JoJo Diaz, who, don't get me wrong, I like him, and I believe he has a great future in the sport, but, he's still a work in progress. And the talk where they're sitting there saying, well, Gary Russell Jr., they're trying to get him next or within the next two fights, and then, possibly Lomachenko right after that. And I'm saying to myself, really? This is a kid here who's still growing. As a prospect, he has a bright future ahead of him, but if you're taking 2 or 3 rounds to get warmed up, Gary Russell has the second fastest hands in boxing. JoJo Diaz isn't going to be able to adjust with that, and I don't know why anybody in their right mind would possibly say that they want to put their prospect, a kid of that age, in there against somebody like Lomachenko, or where you would even try to sell and say this kid could be ready for him in 2 or 3 fights. And there's who else? Who in boxing is even close to the skill set of Lomachenko? Let alone a kid like JoJo Diaz. They're trying to sell. And then on the other hand, maybe they knew exactly how horrible the main event was going to be, and they figured, you know what, we got to try and sell something because we're not going to be able to sell this fight.
Sal, I think what's going on now, and I hope they keep it up. I think they're just trying to make the right fights and keep the excitement going. I mean, last
Yes.
week we had a great fight when Anthony Joshua and Klitschko, both of them came and put on a great show. Plus, it was in the heavyweight division. This fight was supposed to be a continuation of it, Canelo and Chavez Jr. It was not, but at least they announced another fight that we've all wanted, Triple G and Canelo, like Dax says, hopefully it happens. And then you got the Ward Kovalev rematch. So, I mean, there are some big fights lined up to keep the momentum going. Will it happen? Will we keep the momentum going? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said last year or so, I think we've been in a process where it's got a, I use the term, sorry, it's redundant, but we're rebooting. It's rebooting itself, boxing. And maybe some of these promoters are really trying to put some of these bigger fights and better names together for a showdown and stuff. It seems that way, and I think it will continue to be this way. And you know, definitively for both fighters, I mean, this is the time. You've got to do it now. You've got to put Canelo Alvarez and Triple G in the same ring. And I think that September 16th or 17th date is ideal for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, fellas, any final thoughts with you, Dax? And then I'm going to pack it in, fellas. What's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is this is the last time the public is going to allow themselves to be hoodwinked by Chavez Jr. His career is over.
Yep.
As far as Canelo, he continues to get better. Hopefully, the fight with Triple G happens. If it doesn't happen, what is gonna happen with the massive boxing public, even his own fans, they're gonna turn against him because right now he can only go up after a performance like this. David Lemieux, I think we've seen him regress a little bit. What we did learn tonight from Marcos Reyes, as I said on Friday, what Canelo learned against Shane Mosley. Just because you think a guy is going to get out of there easily, sometimes no matter how hard you hit him or how many times you hit him, he isn't going to go anywhere because Reyes really put on a great performance. David Lemieux, I think he's going to look back at this fight and he's going to understand. You know what? I maybe got a little bit too overexcited. I got a little too overzealous. I have to relax myself, and then this way I will be definitely the guy in line for the winner of Canelo versus Triple G. If that fight happens, I know he'd love to fight against both of them, and I think JoJo Diaz Jr. in another 2 or 3 fights, that's going to be a kid right there who's going to be a pay-per-view superstar, himself by the time he gets to but another year or two, once he wins the title, that's another kid right there who's going to be superstar, who's going to be up there with these guys, like a Canelo, like a Terrence Crawford, like a Chocolatito Gonzalez, and all those fellas. So we learned a lot off of this card, both good and positive and negative. So let's just hope next time they have a card like this, instead of 69.99, it's 19.99 because I believe Golovkin and Jacobs was only 59.95 or 49.99, and we got a lot better out of that. So it is what it is. Let's see what happens next time.
All right, Dax, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you on Monday, my man.
Yes, Monday exactly, and I'll be sometime tomorrow. I'll talk to you what I talked to Sal about, and we'll discuss whether or not we should break that open. Because when you find out what I found out, you're going to be a lot more surprised than you think.
Sounds good, my man. We'll talk later.
All right.
Take care. That's Dax
Take care,
Khan. You
Dax.
can check him out on Monday when he joins us, so you can check that out. But anyway, Sal, what was your thoughts? Any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, I think this fight's got to take place in September, and I would love to see, like everybody's going to be waiting to see and wanting to see, we're going to see Triple G and Canelo Alvarez hopefully get in a ring. And I will tell you this, Billy, right now. I did like what I saw in Canelo Alvarez tonight. I used to be a big Alvarez fan. I still admire, respect, and I can appreciate his style, and he comes to fight. But I do see Triple G uh, stopping Canelo Alvarez before the end of the 10th round. I think he'll just dismantle him. I think he'll hurt him, and I think he'll break him down systematically. And no matter what Triple G we've seen in the last couple of fights, I think Canelo Alvarez will be tailored just for him.
Listen, nobody's a bigger fan than Triple G than I am. However, what I saw tonight with Canelo, even though it was against a Chavez that seemingly wasn't willing to do much, I was impressed, and
Yeah.
I think that he displayed conditioning, which he will need against Triple G. He displayed nice, solid punches, which he'll need against Triple G. He displayed a mixed arsenal. He worked to the body. He threw lefts. He threw rights. He went to the head. He went to the body. He mixed it up, which he's going to need to beat a Triple G. The only thing that he doesn't do, and I guess he's never going to learn how to do it, is be able to use better movement. He can cut the ring off and chase you, but he's not fleet of foot, and that may be the difference in the Triple G fight. We got plenty of time to break that down.
Yes, we do.
Some other thoughts I have. I liked JoJo Diaz. I thought he was in a tough fight with Manuel Avila. I thought he won the fight. I thought that, like Dax, I think that it was a little far-fetched that they didn't give him any rounds, but or two of them gave him one. I think Avila did do well early on, but that's my opinion either way. JoJo Diaz won that fight. As far as Lucas Matisse, Emmanuel Taylor, I knew was a tough guy, but I also knew that he would be stopped by Lucas Matisse. The thing is I don't know how effective Lucas Matisse is going to be in the welterweight division. There's some pretty hard punchers in the division right now. He's moving up into that division. He seemingly isn't as powerful, especially demonstrating that against Taylor. So I think the jury's still out on him. And, of course, your boy David Lemieux. I tell you the truth, Sal, he needs to tighten up his D. He needs to move his head a little bit, and he certainly needs better instruction from his corner. He's got to mix it up. He's got to stop headhunting. I think that now that he's in a position where his fights are going to be against top-notch guys and top-level guys, and that kind of a performance, even though he won, and even though he beat up his opponent very well, definitely decisively. I just think that he fights a Triple G or a Canelo or even a Daniel Jacobs. I mean, that kind of a performance wouldn't work. What's your final thoughts on Lemieux?
Well, it's so funny because that's what I was talking to Dax about too. I said, if Canelo Alvarez does not fight Triple G in September, a fight I would love to see is Canelo Alvarez go against David Lemieux. I think that would be a great fight. I don't think that we will see the final bell, but I think it would be a very, very good fight.
Well, listen, glad you guys joined us today, and we sorry that the fight wasn't that great, but we didn't have anything to do with it. But it certainly hindered us with the show and the excitement and the calls and all of that stuff because there's really not much to say. And I think it's all to blame on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and I blame myself for even falling for the bullshit that he was going to come back and win, So anyway, make sure you tune in Monday morning. Sal and I will be giving you our post-fight thoughts on that fight and the other fights, like my man Gamboa quitting on his stool. We had the heavyweight fight down from the land down under we'll be talking about. We got our blast from the past on Wednesday. We're giving out prizes with the trivia questions, all of that stuff. So make sure you tune in right here Monday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us on our YouTube channel. Check your TV and radio listings because we're on radio stations and we're being added to television networks each week. So check it out. Watch our show, and we'll appreciate that. But all the information can be found on our website, www.billycboxing.com. I'm Billy C. This is Sal Rocky Cenicola, and we will both be seeing you guys on Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, ciao, baby.